Well, good afternoon, everyone. Super excited that you are here with us today, Jana, with HSRA, and we have none other than Zachary Beach with, I like to say, Wicked Smart. I mean, that's just how I know you. And I'm excited to talk today about creative financing, finding properties, and we have the expert here. So welcome, Zach. How are you today?
Jenna, now that I'm with you, I couldn't be any better. I'm excited to be with you and your amazing audience. If they're hanging out with you, then I know that they're terrific people. So I'm excited to dive in.
Well, I can't wait either. And, going back to how we originally met, we have to give it up for Clubhouse. We have met some amazing people on Clubhouse, and I know we're not the only success story. Has Clubhouse been a great app for you?
Yeah, I was talking about it earlier today in one of the rooms, and I was telling people that Clubhouse has done a lot for my family company. We've been able to gain some amazing relationships, some amazing connections. Obviously, we're sitting here on this call today because of it.
Yes.
But also, it's helped our. We've been able to meet some amazing people that have joined our coaching program. We've been able to create some expansive ideas in order to bring in new businesses to the forefront. I know we've created a couple new businesses just because of some ideas that have been created. So it has been an amazing, powerful tool, and I'm just glad that I jumped in, even though I thought it was crazy. I still jumped in and been stuck there ever since.
I love it. And we were actually at an event together, got to hear you and hear about your company. And it's just amazing that Clubhouse has connected so many people that have a love and an interest for real estate. We have a little segment of it. You have a little segment of it. And here we are. So why don't you introduce yourself? I know that you have been involved in multiple arenas when it comes to real estate, what you and your family are doing now as well. And just give us a little bit of an insider look at you and your companies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Zachary Beach. I started as a bartender about 6.5, 7 years ago. So been in this business going about 7 years. In December, I'll be full time. So that was a heck of a lot of fun. So if you're listening to this and you have zero experience, you don't think you have time, and you don't have the money, or you don't believe you have the money to be involved in real estate, this is going to be a great conversation that we're going to have today, because we're going to lower the barrier of getting involved in real estate today. Promise you that today. Because if I could do it as being a bartender, I promise you could as well. But the story of my family company starts back with my father-in-law, Chris. And yes, I do partner with my father-in-law. I'm sure that there'll be many questions associated with that, because I get him on podcasts all the time. But he, in the midst of coming out of 2008, prior to that, he was a realtor, broker, owner for 18 years, fixed and flipped, did everything under the sun, basically besides large syndications. When he got crushed in 2008, in order to come out of 2008 and still be involved in real estate, we need to create some new rules. And that's where we get involved in creative financing, where we don't put down large down payments. We don't sign personally utilizing our credit, and we don't go to banks to get these things done either. So we'll dive into that. And then lucky enough, when I was leaving bartender personal training, I was able to partner with him. And now we have a great family investment company that we buy and sell real estate up here in New England. Yes, you're catching some of that accent. I'm originally from Massachusetts and now down here in Rhode Island. And then we also took what we do as our model and then have been able to teach associates and partner with what we call associates around the country. We're in 60 plus markets now and control somewhere between $60 and $80 million worth of real estate between us and our students nationally, with little to no money down.
Oh, that's amazing. And you are kind of that mirror of us, where we took something, of course, coming out of corporate America, and me for literally Texas Instruments, where we weren't allowed to call them calculators. We had to call them educational devices. But all of those lessons learned, how great is it to be in an industry where you're learning people skills, you're learning how to connect with people as a bartender, you're hearing stories, and I'm sure your client care, your customer service, being able to connect with people no matter what. They have money, they're down and out. So all of those, we can never discredit where we came from, because it was definitely a stepping stool. And here you go, right? Working with family, the dynamics of that's actually one of our summit topics that we're going to be talking about, working with family. And you go into now feeling like you guys have crafted and become experts out of what to do and what not to do. And then you created a teaching training company where you now have students that are duplicating those best practices. It's like us with Model My Home. We have the staging business, the design business locally here in Dallas. Now, how do we teach people what to do through HSRA? And so our companies colliding together on not only the best practices of execution, but now teaching. And I just love it. So dive in to what you guys actually feel like you've crafted here as a subject matter, and a little bit of a wealth stream.
Well, I love that you brought up the fact that you developed a company out of a model that you already had, because I think that's where a lot of coaching goes wrong, I should say, unfortunately, because there's people that are coaching things that existed 10, 20 years ago, that were 10, 20 years ago, that are not relevant to today.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes a huge difference with my family and I, is that we are in the trenches day in, day out, looking at real estate, buying real estate. I literally this morning left at 6:30 a.m., drove about 2 hours to look at a portfolio of properties. There's a seller. He's an older gentleman. He's divesting out of his portfolio and is open to doing a creative financing deal. So I went out there and I looked at 4 out of the 20 properties that he wanted me to look at. So I just say that to state that we're in the trenches doing these deals. So as the markets evolve, our coaching evolves. It's not that we're just creating this product, this coaching model, this business model, and then it just exists. No, it's always evolving, and that's what's important. And I'm sure you're doing the exact same thing. So what we believe is we created the new model when it comes to buying and selling real estate. Now, I'm not saying that other niches are not as powerful. They certainly are. But in most niches, you get paid one time. When we hear real estate, most of us think, all right, I'm going to become a realtor, right? I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a commission, paid one time. Trust me, my father-in-law did it for 18 years. Do you also have fix and flips? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go buy a property low. I'm going to go raise some capital, some private money. Then I'm going to put my hard-earned money into the deal. I'm going to fix it up and then I'm going to flip it. Again, get paid once. Or even rentals. I mean, you're creating maybe some consistent cash flow, but you're really still getting paid on what we call a one payday. Yes. So we believe we created this, that we took an existing model, because creative financing, I'm not going to say we invented it. We certainly didn't. It's been around since the 1800s. Seller financing, owner financing has been around forever. What we did is we just packaged it. So now anybody, whether you have any experience or not, or you have large experience, can take this business model now and now do transactions, but also grow and scale it to a business.
Yes.
So when we talk about 3 paydays, this is super important, because this is, and I'm sure you could agree, this is like the perfect entrepreneurial business model, because you get paid now, you get paid monthly, and then you can build wealth. So I don't care, as my father likes to say, I don't care if you're selling popcorn. If you can get paid 3 times on it, that's the business model.
Yes.
So with us, so we buy these things creatively. And then what we do is we sell them to tenant buyers. So when I say a tenant buyer, I'm talking about buyers that cannot qualify for loans today. They need time in order to qualify for a property. Roughly across the entire country, 60 to 80% of potential buyers out there cannot walk into a bank and get a loan. So that market is enormous. So that's who we service. That's who we work with. So these buyers then come in, look to purchase a property, need to utilize our rent to own program. And with that, we get these 3 paydays. So now when a buyer walks into our house, they give us a non-refundable deposit, which is our payday 1. Then you get cash flow. So the difference between what we're collecting and what we're paying to either the bank or the seller, payday 2. And then back-end profits, which would be principal pay down. So you're actually building in wealth in a lot of our deals that you don't even have ownership of. You're just still building in wealth because you're getting the benefit of the principal pay down and any additional premium left over when we buy it for a low and we sell it for a little bit higher. Those are your 3 payday systems. So it's amazing when you start sticking new real estate investors or seasoned real estate investors in a seat when they start doing these types of deals, and you can put out an Excel spreadsheet and start looking, and you can start calculating where your wealth is going to come in and start calculating when your profits are going to come in. So one day, as you build this out, you can step off the treadmill because that's what we all want. That's what real estate is supposed to be providing as a lifestyle. And that's what we think we provide.
Well, what I love about it is the passive income that can be generated here. And it does allow for that legacy wealth, and you've taken a traditional model of buying properties. And now we know that model's broken, right? It's broken so many ways. You just mentioned, majority of people aren't even in a position to purchase a property. And we can blame so many things. But here we have created now a new twist on home ownership. And there are many people out there that would still love to be a home owner. You're literally creating a process and a path for them to do it. And it's a win, win, win. And that's the KW model. Win, 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 or no deal. So you have this homeowner. Let's just take, for instance, he's got a property, she's got a property, and it's going to either go on the traditional platform of selling on MLS or now approaching with your concept. So walk us through, you've got a traditional seller, or maybe you hear from the grapevine, hey, there's a seller that's ready to get rid of some portfolio. How does that conversation even happen? And it's like step one of that.
Yeah. So when we go ahead and approach a seller, we're looking for a couple different things. We're looking for motivation, number one, and that can be good or bad, meaning it doesn't have to be negative to be motivated. If you're here in like the wholesale world, they're looking for people that are in extremely bad situations. I mean, sellers like the one I was talking about earlier that I was looking at, this landlord who's divesting is not in a rush, and nor is he in a desperate situation. I went to his house today. He's not in a desperate situation, I promise you. But he does see the value in creating a long-term deal, because what we can provide, let's say a seller that is in a really good financial position. What we can provide is a couple different things, and I'm sure there's many more. But one is we can provide like an annuity type plan. So you have somebody that owns a rental. They got into the business because they wanted cash flow. Well, unfortunately, COVID happened. And what COVID really did is it sped up the time between when somebody was a happy landlord and when somebody was a dissatisfied landlord. That happened in about 18 months versus most of the time it takes about 15 years. So now these landlords are getting it. So we approach them. We say, hey, look, we'll pull everything off your shoulders. But what we'll do is we'll create a bit of an annuity by creating a long-term deal with you, either with one of our options, where now you can get some monthly cash flow, but you don't have to handle any maintenance, any taxes, insurance, tenants, toilets, whatever. You don't have to handle that anymore. And we'll construct that. So you still get that type of cash flow. So that's an annuity type plan is a great way for us to help people. You also have sellers that own multiple properties. You got people that own second homes and are now transitioning. They no longer use a second home. Their family has gotten older. They don't use that beach home anymore. They don't use that mountain home anymore. They're looking to get a smaller property, but they're not willing to, because they're in a good financial situation. They're not willing to leave profits on the table. They don't want to go ahead and pay 5 or 6% commission, take 95% or 90% of their asking price, pay all these closing costs. So if they are willing to wait for their equity, then we can go ahead and get them more money. We can get them more net profit on the deal because of the way we construct those. So that's just two when I'm looking at somebody that's in a financially savvy position. But then also you have all these other sellers out there. Recently, I purchased a property. This seller was selling exactly for what he owed, or roughly what he owed on the property. So what does that mean? If you're a realtor and you go ahead and you list this property, the seller is coming out of pocket in order to pay your commissions. So some sellers won't do that, nor could they financially do that. Right. So when we approached the seller, he's actually an ex-banker and had no idea that our options existed. And what we ended up doing was we ended up closing on the property. He was able to walk away. We paid for his closing costs, and he was able to move to Washington without coming out of pocket. For us, although there'd be no equity in the deal today, we can create equity by either selling via rent to own because we're selling it at a premium, or holding on to this deal long term, so that way the market can appreciate and the principal can pay down. So even deals in that position where you got people that are in a, that need debt relief or mortgage relief. I mean, COVID has brought out everybody at this point in time, and it's seen we've seen some awful things, and a lot of people are going to lose a lot of their equity today just because they owe $10,000 or $20,000 in arrears. So we can always go in and eliminate those arrears and create a creative option surrounding that. That way they're able to still get some of their equity out of these deals instead of losing all of it. So that's just a couple different ways in which we can help people. And there's many more, but let me just say this. We look for motivation of the seller. What is the challenge? And can we solve that challenge with one of our options? Are we going to be able to solve them all? We certainly are not. Those that are willing to take less on the open market and sell traditionally, definitely not going to be our bag. That's not how we're going to be able to help them. Once we discover that challenge or that solution, if we believe we can bridge that gap to get them to where they're at, then the rest is math. Then it's financials. Now we're going to look at the financials of the property. If there's a mortgage, what the taxes, insurance are, what the expenses are, what they believe the house is worth. And we'll just start playing with math there and see if we can create one of these creative solutions.
Well, I love it. I love that you literally are partnering with the homeowner, and then you're also partnering with that person that wants to, do that owner finance, and everyone wins here. You've created a new option, new opportunities, and all legal. And then we talk about now wealth building. So some staging business owners, realtors that are watching us right now are like, well, why are we talking about this subject matter? It's because it is a wealth generating, wealth building, passive income play that allows all of us, which most of us business owners, have a piece of the pie and be able to not only serve in real estate with our gifts and what we can do, but now also be that client, be that transaction, whenever we're coordinating and bringing parties together to be able to give them those new options. So it was so intriguing, Zach, to listen to you. Of course, we have, with our staging, our design, short-term rentals, our masterminds that we've done with Jay Massey, you guys have been talking as well. And bringing that short-term rental play into this is a whole nother opportunity, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you buy the property right, or if you buy it creatively, then you can exit however you want to.
Yes.
What we want to bring to the table, especially because you have a number of different real estate niches that watch this. And I'm excited to speak to them a little bit further. And that is, look, if you're a realtor, we coach many realtors because my father-in-law was one of them. If you had the ability to walk to a home and walk into a listing and a potential listing and say, hey, look, I can either list your property and this is what you're going to get out of the deal, or I could buy your property and this is what you'll get out of the deal. We have realtors now presenting multiple options across the board because now morally and ethically, they can now present all options in order to allow the seller to pick what's best for them. This is like a best known secret that people just either don't understand or are unwilling to understand. Yes. Because what we're doing is we are coming in and we're putting more wealth back in the seller's pockets if they're open to waiting or if they have the ability to wait. And now we're creating homeowners of people that had no idea that there was even a path to homeownership. So now we're creating homeownership through this process as well. And because you're able to solve challenges that most people are not willing to get the knowledge or understand how to construct these deals, you're going to get paid very well. That's why our 3 paydays across our entire country and all of our students range from $50,000 in 3 paydays all the way up to $250,000 plus. I was just working on a deal yesterday, and the deal that we're working on is a 48-month deal, and that deal is going to pay out at least 6 figures based on those 3 paydays. So these are deals that you can and should be involved in when you're working on building wealth. And then when it comes to like short-term rentals and other niches in that if you can buy this property, say on one of our models, take control or ownership, and then have the ability to exercise an option or to be able to refinance later on, while you're creating your cash flow with short-term rentals, then you're putting yourself in a position to build wealth instead of constantly going back to the table and say, all right, I need to go renew a lease. When you're doing these rental arbitrages, although it's a great model when you first get involved, if you can go ahead and start buying and controlling and building wealth while you're utilizing a model like that, because we buy properties on a lease option. What that simply does is it allows you to control the asset, build wealth in the asset. And if you're exiting on short-term rentals, now that just gave you additional leverage because now you have control and ownership, eventually to own that property without having to go back to the table and renegotiate. So just if you can buy it correctly, you can exit however you'd like to. Long-term rentals, short-term rentals, rent to own like we do, buy and hold, do whatever you like to do. Just buy it right. Stop personally signing on things. Stop going to banks and stop putting down large deposits so that way you can continue to have a life-sustaining, generational type business.
I love it. I love it, Zach. And I know that we've got people out here that are listening and that will listen forever, not only live now, but this is going on all of our platforms. And when you think about, helping people, obviously you've got a course, you're able to coach, you're able to mentor. Are you also partnering to help people do their first deal?
So through our coaching program, it's significantly different than most coaching programs out there. When people get involved with us, it's basically like a partnership. What they're doing is they're coming in. I have been on the phone all week with different sellers. I was literally just calling multiple sellers in Missouri because we have an associate down there in the St. Louis, Missouri area, and we're working on constructing some deals. So while the students are teaching or working through our process, we hop on three-way phone calls. We deal structure with them. We help them set up their dream team. And then we split deals throughout that process. So our coaching model is set up for full immersion because that's what we believe is going to actually make you into a real estate investor. And then eventually, most importantly, an entrepreneur and a business owner. Because we want to not only help you do transactions. That's great. That's how you get started. That's how you put food on the table. But that's not how you build long-term wealth. Eventually, you're going to build a nice business model, bring on team, if that's what your dream is, and then eventually, sustain this and grow this for however long you'd like to do it. So definitely coaching people from a course standpoint, but also getting in the trenches with a lot of people as well.
Well, I love it. And I know my husband and I have personally done 7 investment properties that we did owner finance. And this has been 15 plus years ago here in the Dallas area. And I'll say we did some things right and we did some things wrong. We had to deed in lieu of foreclosure on, some of the tenants, and one in particular literally stripped out the appliances, the lights, everything. And we were like, okay, we got it. Here we go again. So doing this right, protecting your assets. And then if you have companies that, if you have a company that is a staging design company that you're able to, even if it is that owner finance, get some furniture in there, make that property look amazing. And we would easily within a month have that, because you're turning really these renters into buyers. Somebody may see this as a rent initial process, but they're like, wait a minute, you mean I can pretty much for a down payment and maybe a little bit more of a monthly pay, I can work myself into a home owner? Like, this is huge. So I love that we're able to help people on different ways. We're able to have 3 paydays. I know it's something we're going to be getting into. You just had your live conference and it was online that people, did you guys record it? Are we able to purchase? Maybe we have some listeners out here, or is that your goal for the next one?
So anybody that registered gets the recordings.
Nice.
So it's anyone that registered. So you'll obviously have access to it. Our next event is going to be the Wicked Smart Kickstart, which is a very heavy mindset type event, which is a 1-day event, and that's in January. We'll be there. Plus, I'll be at Clubhouse Live New York. I don't know if you'll be there, but I'll be there.
I can't make that one, but I will definitely be in Miami, I think, in January too.
I'll certainly be there in Miami as well. I do want to speak to one thing, though. You said it. You made a bunch of mistakes. We've made a bunch of mistakes. There's that saying, you either pay for it now, you pay for it later. Let us be the ones that made the mistakes for you. That's why we have a course. That's why we have a coaching program. It's so that way you don't have to go through all the mistakes. When people look at applying for coaching or paying for coaching or even paying for courses, and trust me, I've been there, I've done them all. My family has done them all. We spend tens of thousands of dollars every single year in coaching because we need to surround ourselves with people that are ahead of us,
Yes.
that are in a position that can help us get there. So when you look at that, it's investing in yourself in order to make sure, investing in yourself, in your company, to make sure you don't make those mistakes. So that way you can move faster.
Yes.
Trust me, if we had access to these things 8 years ago, our company would be tenfold. So now you have the ability to do it. So invest in yourself and advance your business, especially if you think this is the play for you.
Well, I love it, Zach, and you guys are definitely a partner with HSRA and Model My Home, and I know that you have a place that people can go if they want to learn more. And I don't know why we think, wow, I've gotten out of school, now I can stop learning. No, you're just paying for continuing education. It is that investment. And what's cool about it is the information that we learn at these events and conferences is it's deposits within us to not only know what we don't know, but think differently. And now that you've exposed myself, our clubhouse crew, all of our people into newer, better ways to elevate, it allows us to get there faster together. And you don't do anything alone. So I'm happy to have us partner together. I can't wait to see what this like turning around in 5 years. I know my husband and I will definitely have properties with you guys, learning from you guys, no doubt about it. And it is wealth building, generational wealth building, but also that passive income. And you can feel good about it. It's doing it the right way. So where can people go to get more about you guys, about your company, if they want to learn more?
Yeah, just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/modelmyhome. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/modelmyhome. That'll bring you to our website. And then if you're interested in taking the next step, want to advance, invest in yourself, there's a button at the top and it says Get QLS. That stands for Quantum Leap System. Get QLS. Dive into that, and then you'll be placed within our community to be able to start taking the next steps. Trust me, it's 12 modules. We don't leave a single thing out. We've been actually poo-pooed by many of the other mentors in this space because they say, why don't you break up your course into multiple ones and sell them for tens of thousands of dollars? But we're not marketers. We're business owners. We're business builders. We want to help you be able to put all the tools in your toolbox and be able to help you advance in this creative financing space, because we need amazing real estate investors out there, because we've talked about today the major gap in the market right now with sellers and with buyers. And if we have great professional real estate investors out there that understand the creative financing world, understand buying and selling on lease options, owner financing, and subject to deals, we're just going to continue to bridge that gap and provide more and better housing for those buyers out there. So again, that's smartrealestatecoach.com/modelmyhome.
I love it. I love it. And now is the time. It is literally the perfect storm, with people wanting to jump in, help others. COVID literally created that perfect storm for you guys to be able to, provide so much opportunity for those investors, plus those homeowners and the sellers, with iBuying, and now this being a different option for them to get the money out of their property that it's actually valued at. So I love it, Zach, and we appreciate you so much for investing some time. We're going to hop on Clubhouse, and any of those of you that are watching today want to jump on, we would love so. This is timeless. So reach out to Zach, reach out, learn more about their company and how this can be relevant to you. Thanks, Zach. We can't wait to see you soon.